Micky Van De Ven can become our Gabriel. He can become that difference maker in both boxes. And you saw that yesterday. I'm not saying that's going to propel us to a league title, but to see Spurs be more threatening from set pieces is something that we all were crying out for last season, right? So why are people not as happy with the performance as some other Spurs fans yesterday that can just enjoy what it means to go and win a game 3-0 away at the Hill Dickinson Stadium? Set pieces were the biggest part of that, and there's a big conversation right now around the trend of set pieces and what it means for the league and how enjoyable it is to watch as a product. But I am going to revel in that victory yesterday because we saw a lot of what we haven't seen for a while at Tottenham, and that is that focus on set pieces to be the difference maker, which is something that we were crying out for in the previous era. Micky Van De Ven's performance was excellent yesterday, and it was about way more than just those set pieces. But of course, we have to cover that. If you are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe, drop a like on the video as well. This is what we learned from Everton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 3, Spurs a third in the league, 3 goals, a clean sheet away from home yesterday, best away record in the league. So there are plenty to be positive about. Plenty of things to be positive about. Obviously, not the best performance against Monaco away in the week. I didn't do a breakdown of that game because I don't think anybody actually wanted it or really needed it. We all kind of went through that pain of that game together. It was really poor, but we saw a good response yesterday at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, which saw a bit of a difference in setup from Tottenham as well. Simons on the left, Muani through the middle, Kudus and Johnson kind of dovetailing between each other on the right-hand side. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Kevin Danso. We're going to talk about Micky Van De Ven. We're going to talk about Spurs' shape and the build-up as well yesterday. So make sure to subscribe. There'll be a Newcastle preview out tomorrow as well. Now, we have to start with the goals. Let's run through the goals quickly because it's amazing to me that when you've got someone in Micky Van De Ven who has got the aerial presence in both boxes, especially in the attacking penalty area as we saw yesterday, he's got 5 goals for the season now. Well, we haven't really utilised him as a weapon from set pieces anywhere near as much in the past as we have done this season. I know Ange didn't have as much as a focus on it as obviously Thomas Frank does, as he looks to find those marginal gains as a way to win games and be solid, especially away from home. And that's just the way the Premier League is right now. And it's something we wanted to see a little bit more of from Spurs as well. But Van De Ven, especially in that 6-yard box, just like Gabriel does for Arsenal, we should be looking to him from our attacking set pieces, whether it's for the first knockdown for someone else or for whether it's him to be in and around that 6-yard box to put the ball in the back of the net, which is exactly what he did twice yesterday. Good ball in from Kudus. The quality of delivery from both sides yesterday, Kudus and Porro, I thought was pretty exceptional. Bentancur, you can argue whether he means that shoulder back to Van De Ven, but look where Van De Ven is. He literally physically imposes himself on the goalkeeper, little shove before, and then he can create the space. Same for the second goal as well. Again here, look at him on Pickford. This is something we got so frustrated with goalkeepers doing to Vicario over the past couple of seasons prior to this one, right? So, like, as much as, you know, obviously doing this as a Tottenham fan, like, one of the reasons why set pieces have become a massive talking point in discussion is obviously because of Arsenal, right? And it's, you know, it's easy to sit there and go like, another set piece, they're relying on set pieces and all those kind of things, which maybe they have in certain games, but it's a weapon. And I felt even more frustrated that it was something that was kind of happening to us, especially against Arsenal at points as well, like how much they bullied us from it. And we were never doing it back. Like, you can have the balance of wanting to play good open football whilst also being strong from set pieces. And that is what Arsenal have done. And it was amazing to me that it was something that we never really ever kind of focused on. But Van De Ven here, this is something that used to happen to Vicario a lot. Like, get tight on him, use your body, and put him off. Like, within kind of the means of the law. Like, here, he's tight to him, but he's got his elbow sort of in his midriff, but he's not really stopping him enough to give a free kick away. And he gets the header above Pickford. It's a lovely ball in. We've got players packed in and around that area. And that's Van De Ven's 5th goal of the season. Like, he can become a difference maker for us when we are struggling to break teams down. And we can use those set pieces as a weapon. We need to see Spurs improve more in terms of our open play build-up and our chance creation for sure. Like that, again, yesterday, still not perfect. And again, in away games like this, I'm not as bothered. I want to see our best players play good football and influence the game for sure. But it's those home games where that is more of an issue for me, where we've got to take teams on. Of course, there'll be away games as well. We need to do that. But Everton will play on the front foot. They'll be aggressive. They're a much better side than what they were, you know, last season and the season prior to that. This wasn't an easy place to go. So if you have to be, you know, using set pieces as a method to win that game, then by all means, as long as we come away with 3 points and a clean sheet, which is exactly what we did. Van de Ven, with the height that he's got and the aerial presence that he's got, the fact that he scored 5 goals this season and hadn't scored a header, I don't think, prior to that for Spurs, or any sort of goal from any sort of set piece, really, other than the one against Luton, which was a well-worked routine, a short one where Maddison dribbled it to the byline and cut it back. Like, he can be that guy for us. He's physically imposing. His frame, we're going to start looking to him. Teams are going to want to mark him out of the game. Now, this could be a bit of a ripple effect for Tottenham now for set pieces going forward, with his ability to influence the game in the penalty area. Really, really good from Van de Ven. And there's so much to talk about in Van de Ven's overall performance as well, which I want to come on to next, but I just want to quickly go through the Sarr goal. Obviously, a lot kind of happened in the meantime between that. And I want to talk about Sarr and I want to talk about the subs. But this is what Sarr can offer as that number 10, and it's why I'd probably have him. I know it's an open game state at this point, but if we're not going to use Xavi Simons as a 10, and we'll talk about Simons too, then I think Sarr is better equipped to play in that position because of his box crashing ability. Like, you see him here, making that run into the penalty area. He's got a good kind of nous and knack for where to be. Carries it on in between the two centre-halves. There's a good ball from Porro to the back post to Richarlison. Sarr getting in there. They can't track the run. They're worried about the back post header, and Sarr gets in there to score. Those are the 3 goals for Tottenham yesterday. But I want to talk about Van de Ven. He's alongside Kevin Danso, who was absolutely excellent yesterday. We've got some stats on Kevin Danso as well. It was a really, really solid performance from him. And the way that he's stepped up in the absence of Christian Romero has been fantastic, really. Kevin Danso yesterday made 18 clearances against Tottenham, the most by a Tottenham player in a Premier League match since Jan Vertonghen made 21 against Burnley in December 2016. He also won 100% of his duels and didn't commit a single foul. So disciplined, so good. And he was excellent. And, you know, to have a third centre-back that you don't worry as much about now is really good. And obviously in possession, I think he limits us without Romero. But defensively, you don't really worry too much about the drop-off. Like, Romero is still better than Danso, but Danso, excellent performance yesterday. But Van de Ven here, so much to like about his game, and I think how much he stepped up as a leader. I was listening to, I think it was either Flav's podcast on the Lab, or maybe it was Jack's podcast, Rule the Roost, where they were talking to Ben Haynes and Rob Daly, and I think one of them mentioned about how Van de Ven carries himself on and off the pitch now, and obviously with them kind of being in and around it in the training ground, seeing a lot of the media they do conduct and a lot of that, they can kind of feel that, and it definitely feels like he's sort of taken that step up. So many good actions for him yesterday here, stepping up to break up the play in the midfield and using his body to kind of shield it, win it back. These kind of passes are what you want to see Van de Ven do more, be a bit braver, kind of try and break the lines a little bit, get Simons into that pocket where he can influence things and be dangerous, get that ball in quicker. Want to see him do that a little bit more, and that's exactly what he does there, for Simons to be able to turn on it. Defending the channels here against Njai, who was absolutely such a handful yesterday, gets physical with him, uses his body to shield it, and then recycles the ball back out wide. It was the reading of the game in these kind of situations as well, where Njai is putting a really dangerous ball into the box for, I think that's Dewsbury Hall there, making that run in beyond Danso. But Van de Ven reads the game really well and intercepts it out for a corner. When you're under pressure against teams like this who have got the ability to hurt you, that ability to defend like that is magnificent. Long ball over the top. Here, Van de Ven reads it really well, flicks that header perfectly back to Vicario, who can claim it. Here, it's the reading of the game in these kind of situations too. Look, I've just been so impressed by with Van de Ven. I think like you generally could make the argument for him being our best player this season. Beto wants to make that running beyond. Dewsbury Hall's kind of trying to find him, but Van de Ven just reads it really, really well. Just such good in these kind of situations. Everton moving the ball forward into the box. Van de Ven heading it away, reading the game, stepping in here to win that off Alcaraz, using his body and then playing out. And you can see him there, calm. He's got saying to Sarr there, he's got time to turn on it, calm. Like, his leadership and I think his influence on this team is growing even more. And we're not seeing him necessarily being used in the same way because we're not playing with as much of a high line. Although against Villa, when they did try and counter-attack on us and play those balls on the channel, I thought Van de Ven mopped everything up that he needed to do exceptionally well. Wasn't needed as much yesterday with Tottenham sitting a little bit deeper. Kind of in that 4-4-2 block out of possession. Like, it was everyone sort of shuffled back 10, 20 yards from this when we had that 2-0 lead. And the substitutions were something that kind of confused people a little bit. Obviously Xavi Simons, who I want to talk about, coming off, Bergvall coming on for him, Richarlison on for Muani. Some people said that it felt negative, but you've got a 2-0 lead that you kind of got to protect there, and Bergvall still gives you that threat on transition. Muani not fit enough necessarily to play 90 minutes yet, and although we did drop a little bit deeper, I didn't feel like we were under that much pressure really, and I feel like we were just well organised and backed ourselves to deal with what Everton threw at us. So I can understand the frustration kind of in the moment, but you've got to realise that we're 2-0 up away from home here. This is a really big game for Tottenham, and I wasn't that bothered necessarily. Of course, it feels negative, but like you've got to get over the line in games like this where you've got a 2-0 lead. You've got to be solid. You've got to be kind of compact. And Bergvall is still going to offer you moments on the break in those transitional situations, like exactly what Simons would have done, who I felt that was growing into the game. But Bergvall's got the legs and ability to defend as well. Like, we want to win games of football. Like, I want to see us be more open and be more exciting at home 100%. And that should translate to away games where we look to take the game to teams as well. Although I thought our central progression was a little bit better yesterday at points. But yeah, I wasn't that bothered about it really. And obviously hindsight's a powerful thing. You could say if Everton do get 2 goals, which he did, Beto, excellent save from Vicario, made a really good double save from the double deflected shot as well. Like, so if they get 2 goals, then obviously you're saying, why weren't we more proactive? Of course. But the reality is that we won the game and saw it out pretty comfortably. Like, that Beto chance kind of came before the substitutions. I thought their ability to hurt us kind of diminished as the 90 went on, really, after those kind of subs. So the fact that we saw it out, I was pleased with. But this was kind of the different shape that we saw with Spurs yesterday. Johnson on the right-hand side, Simons kind of on the left, but definitely operating more as a 10, with kind of Spence pushing up. Spurs kind of building out more in a back 3 at points, almost like this, with one of the pivots going to get it and joining the back 3. And Simons kind of in the pocket with Kudus kind of playing almost as a second striker at times. And I thought, like, I understood the why we tried to do this, because I think with Kudus kind of having more license to kind of float into these central areas, and Johnson kind of then also being able to come centrally but also go wide, Spurs still looking to kind of clip balls in behind to Johnson to exploit the space. You're kind of trying to pull that Everton defence out of kind of position to exploit and make more space. And Kudus naturally, with the kind of bodies that he kind of attracts around him when he kind of gets into like these areas, almost, you know, like the players, he just has that kind of gravity to, you know, to affect the game and have players kind of really want to come on him and sort of stop him. And he can go past players as well. So that means that Johnson kind of in theory then has sort of more space to run into. So you're trying to kind of create those overloads down that right-hand side, but also try and pull Everton kind of out of shape and out of position to exploit that space. So I understood the game plan. I don't think it massively necessarily worked, although I do think having Kudus centrally at points helped us on a kind of transitional point of view, and obviously in the second half as well. I did quite like that from Spurs. I like the fact that we saw something different from Frank. And this was the kind of way we built up as well in the game. You can see Kudus here kind of in that central space with Johnson more out wide. Bentancur and Paulinho kind of deep, quite close together as the pocket. One thing I did quite like about this, and what I liked about Kolo-Muani, was that if you are going to kind of, you know, drop these kind of pivots in... it felt like almost quite good baiting from Spurs, really, that allowed us to go a bit more direct. Because Everton will know, they would have done their research right, that Spurs, this kind of pivot, obviously, does limit us in terms of maybe ball progression centrally. And they feel like they can, with that sort of higher press here, you're kind of seeing those 3, Gay, Garner, and Dewsbury Hall kind of pressing forward. Beto as part of that as well. Bentancur and kind of Paulinho in that pivot. They feel like they can maybe force those high turnover situations because they're a little bit awkward under pressure maybe at points, right? So you're kind of dragging them forward up the pitch, Everton. And when you've actually got a proper outlet in Kolo-Muani who can go kind of more direct to, and you kind of back him to be able to look after the ball a little bit better, I understand it. Then you've got kind of the balance starts to feel a little bit better as well, with Kudus and Simons in here who can affect the game from a central point of view and kind of benefit from Kolo-Muani being able to hold the ball up, and then they can drive forward with as the good ball carriers that they are. So again, away from home, I don't mind this approach as well of being a bit more direct. And if we do want to be more direct at home, having a striker that can look after the ball and is just a little bit more clean in those kind of actions does make a bit of a difference as well, as much as we want to see free flowing football where we're cutting teams apart. Kolo-Muani kind of loses this duel here and it goes out for a throw-in, but look at the position that Simons gets into if Kolo-Muani can win that knockdown and kind of play it into him there. So it made sense. We did quite well to bait that Everton press and actually use Kolo-Muani as a focal point that could hold the ball up to look to exploit these kind of situations. Kudus here can make a break through the centre as well. Like, this is a good opportunity for Tottenham. Again, from this kind of example, Spurs building out Danso to Van De Ven. Van De Ven looks inside to Bentancur. And this is what I did quite like from Bentancur at points yesterday. I thought he had a good performance and also thought he was a little bit more braver at points as well. I feel like there's so many times where you play Bentancur in this position and he kind of just looked for that first time, like bounce pass back and kind of shirk responsibility to progress, but he turns and he moves out of it and drives us up the pitch out to Porro who then's looking. Kudus kind of floats there to offer him an option out here. But he goes back inside. Bentancur, little bounce pass to Paulinho, and then Spurs can kind of work it into a wider position. Kolo-Muani kind of looking to come and get it as well, taking those centre-backs with him. Can Simons then kind of reap the rewards of the space in behind? Spurs kind of continue to recycle. Bentancur then out to Porro. Back, I think, into Bentancur here, out to Van De Ven. It's, you know, still kind of sideways football a little bit, but it was nice to see Bentancur at times being a little bit more brave. Simons actually, this is the moment where he does give it away, and he was sloppy, I thought, in that first half, and we were a little bit lucky there. And he was poor, Simons, here as well, but again, it's good stuff from Kolo-Muani that allows us to be more efficient when we're being more direct. Again, Everton kind of pressing, committing bodies high up the pitch. They weren't sitting in that low block. You got 5 here in that front line kind of looking to win the ball back as a collective. Van De Ven, as he does so well, kind of that little body feint, and then he can burst away, which is such a brilliant kind of skill to have when teams are pressing you high up the pitch. And then Van De Ven, again, breaking the lines with his passing. Good ball in here to Kolo-Muani, who can commit Tarkowski with him. Look at Simons looking to make that burst into the space. And this is the difference that Kolo-Muani did make yesterday. Little first-time flip round the corner to Simons, who can carry the ball into this area. We've bypassed that Everton press, and then we've got a 4-on-4 here. But it's about what Simons does with it, and he kind of wastes it. This is a really good opportunity for Spurs. 4-on-4, like I said, this is where you want your creative players kind of in these situations thriving, but he kind of dawdles on it too long and makes the wrong decision. And I do feel like, as much as I've kind of stuck up for Simons, and I've thought that the system has stifled him a little bit, like against Villa when we're kind of playing at home, you want to be playing through him more, and we're not brave enough necessarily to do that. You've got to show more quality when you're in these kind of positions to warrant the excitement that we kind of all have about you, right? But maybe it's that lack of confidence from not getting the ball enough, not being able to affect the game enough. But he's got to kind of get his head up there and just, you know, like play that pass at the right time and not let it affect him too much. I actually did think he grew into the game in the second half, to be fair, had more influence over it. But and I can understand why he was frustrated that he was taken off, but it is what it is. But again here, Kolo-Muani, like this is the first goal from the corner. Ball down the line for Porro. Ball down the line from Porro into the channel. Kolo-Muani takes it on his chest, commits Tarkowski, rolls him, gets round him, all very clean, forces Tarkowski to make a tackle, and then we get the corner from it. Like, he made such a difference yesterday, Kolo-Muani. Just gave us that kind of out ball there that Everton kind of committed higher up in their press. Muani, someone that can run the channels as well, drag kind of players with him, and then we can kind of benefit from that with 2 really good runners and ball carriers in here that can make things out of those more dangerous situations. So someone that can kind of make it stick, be a little bit more cleaner. That hold-up play makes such a difference. Someone that you can actually play off and have a springboard. Hopefully he can stay fit and get a run of games, because I like what I saw from him yesterday. Kind of it, really. A good, solid away performance. Still not perfect in terms of our chance creation and all those kind of things, but Frankie's building that solid foundation. I was so frustrated after Wednesday because it felt like we were so vulnerable at the back, but not sacrificing enough defensively to, one, warrant conceding the amount of high-quality chances that we did, but also we didn't offer enough going forward. So it was a real kind of weird balance. But yesterday we were a lot more defensively solid. We were more ruthless when the chances come from set pieces, and we went and killed the game off, and we managed it quite well. Took time out of the game. Just a bit more savvy in these kind of away games, and our away record speaks for itself. The kind of proof is in the pudding with that. We've got a big run of games coming up where we need to kind of test ourselves. We do need to be brave. We do need to improve from an open play chance creation point of view. But yesterday, I'm not that kind of enamoured with that conversation. I'm pleased that we went away at a difficult place to go, the first Premier League team to go and win there. Everton have got a good record, and we did the job. 3-0 away from home. Can't ask for much more than that. Well done, Thomas Frank. Well done, Tottenham. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.